Hello traders, this is a DAX recap video for the last day of January, and in front of us is the updated chart that was posted before the open. So we had this bull flag looking pattern for a couple of days, waiting for to market to make a solid breakout or a false one from it. So in the morning notes I said that Fed Chair Powell was released another DAO yesterday. Market was going up since then. US market was up, and the DAX was lagging behind the US markets. So the expectation was that the market participants will buy the first pullback, and that the people that missed that move from the FOMC yesterday are going to buy the first pullback. And that was pretty much correct for the US market, but not correct at all for the German market, which went down after this first up move. So where were the opportunities, and why is this happening? So yesterday we had divergence between DAX and the S&P when they made this kind of move, and it was on the news from the Wirecard company, which was down 18% and dragging the tech sector of DAX down with it. And today there was some other news. And this was a news-driven move. Now, FOMC statement and press conference is also a news-driven move, and news-driven moves tends to retrace a good portion of it, a smaller portion of it. It depends on the market context, and it is not the same. Let's take a look on the S&P daily chart. It is not the same where you have Fed chair or president or some other important figure to say something that market likes. Here, when it is already oversold, or somewhere here where the move is already matured. But nevertheless, news-driven moves tends to retrace at least a portion of it. But the speculation for today was that buyers will make an effort to buy pullbacks, and they did that, but they did that only on the US markets. As we can observe here, this is the S&P on a 5-minute chart, and this here is the open. So basically right at the open they start to buy S&P, and the Nasdaq looks exactly the same, and Russell looks exactly the same. They even made a spring, a false breakdown here, and immediately went up. But the DAX wasn't like that at all, and the culprit for today moves are, as we can see, Siemens and Deutsche Bank. There was some speculation here that Deutsche Bank is going to where was that? Is going to connect with possible merger with Commerzbank, and Deutsche Bank is due to report their earnings tomorrow. Now let's go to see where were our opportunities for today. So this here was a two-day range. Yesterday they made the false breakout, hitting the main support level, and there was a good long from there. And today we had this as pre-market high made at 4:30 a.m. and this was the pre-market low made at 6:25 a.m. And immediately after, the open market starts to go up, hitting this first resistance zone of Monday and Tuesday highs. As I said in the morning notes, that this zone, and it is here, sellers can react here, but if we see a good sustained momentum to the upside, better not fade that, since that would mean that market wants to go higher and test top of the bull flag, and that is exactly what happened. So when you observe this move, this is a fast move through the pre-market high. You really don't want to, step here at this zone, because it was already tested yesterday and the day before, and you were warned to not fade that if we see a good momentum. Now, Market was looking back then like this. There was a good momentum through the pre-market high, and bull flag was broken to the upside, so you really don't want to short here because this is, you know, it's a very small distance. But you want to position yourself here, and if you didn't get a fill, so this was our first trading opportunity for today to short this zone, and if you didn't get a fill, market still was here enough time for you to react later. If we look at that on the 5-minute chart, then we can observe that market was touching this lower end of the zone for 3 candles are here, so 10-15 minutes the market was here, and even at the closing of this candle you could enter short here. So this was our first opportunity, and then since you cannot know absolutely, you will have no idea that this is what we got. Market was contracting, but expectation was for the market to go up in sympathy with US markets, which went up, but DAX went down because of its own news and made this 250 point move to the downside. So because you don't know that in advance, then you will think, okay, market is contracting, market is making small ranges, let me just close this trade on the first zone or on this second reference. So closing for this trade could be just 40-50 points, or maybe here a bit more to test the pre-market high from the other side. And this is the closing here for just, let's say, 2 hours or a bit more. I did that trade, and I said it on Twitter. If you you know, regret that you banked a small piece, that plenty of it, you know, you left on the table, but you couldn't know that in advance because we were not prepared for this kind of move. Now, good preparation can minimize frustration, and you know, when the range is small, you will go for smaller targets. When the market tip its hands and show you that it is ready for the to make a bigger move, then you can push for bigger targets. And you can see on my website in the blog section this article here. Have I made the right decision? It is a story about regrets. You can read that also. And now after that, when we observe that the market is going down with some really good sustainable momentum, and then they went through the entire pre-market range without any pullback whatsoever. They filled 2 gaps on the way up. They fill this gap. On the way down, they fill this gap. Now they just made a very small bounce from the pre-market low. Now you are, you know, you're sure that this isn't the end of the move. That either somewhere is going to be a big bounce, or there could be a continuation of the move. And now what would you do? This zone here is slightly above this main bull bear zone, so you could attempt a long trade here, but that long trade would probably end as a break-even trade. So this here was long try, and risking that the market would go just directly to the bull bear zone. And market spent plenty of time here. Now this is a 5-minute chart, but we can observe that the market spent here an hour and a half, and it is plenty of time for us to conclude that this structure here is nothing else than a bear flag, and the market isn't really done. And it is going to be helpful for you not to get married only to one time frame, but to look at this same instrument on multiple time frames, because you can see here how it looks on the 4-hour chart. You have a big price rejection on this candle. Then on a 1-hour chart, you can look on 1-hour chart, you can look on 30 minutes, you can look on 15 minutes, and help yourself to determine and to conclude that this here is indeed a bear flag, this here, and the entry for this trade is to wait to get a break, because if market went down from 310 to 160, 150 points, and bounce just like 20 points, it's a very mild reaction, and it could mean that the more is to come, more downside is to come. So this is your secondary entry. If you missed all of this, this is your secondary entry and your second opportunity for today to make a good trade out of it. Even if you just took 2-hour trade to this here, to the main support zone, which was broken now. And if you will observe this on the higher time frames chart, then you will not even try to go long here, because by this time we already knew that it is a news-driven move with some companies that have problems, and with the news-driven move, market sometimes will not stop on good zones, because this move here was much bigger move than this from yesterday. This was a wirecard move, this is a Deutsche Bank move, and this is a much more important move. And if you were here trying to catch along, then this certainly was a loser, and not zone will not stop market every single time. And now it is already 6 p.m. We couldn't possibly know where this move will end. So if you want to to catch this falling knife, then you will have to try on every zone to catch it. But if the market is going below bull bear zone, as said in the pre-market notes, then it has a very good possibility to test this main support zone around 11k. But unfortunately we didn't get a feel here. If you were anywhere in this main support zone, you couldn't get a feel, because the move died here above the zone. So this was really an outlier day. Market behaved, only US markets behaved as planned, and today we had this news-driven move by Deutsche Bank, and it is what it is. So for tomorrow you will get another chart with updated zones, and I wish you good trading and good night.